The Dallas Mavericks collapse in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter against the Houston Rockets to fall 102-93 in a trap game on the road. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. The Dallas Mavericks have their 5-game win streak snapped by a team that was 2-27 in their last 29 basketball games in the Houston Rockets. Christian Wood scores 22 points. Meanwhile, John Wall, in his return, drops 31 points against the Dallas Mavericks. The Houston Rockets win the season series 2-1 as the Mavericks came out flat in this basketball game, but more disappointing in the fourth quarter, where they fought and clawed themselves back into the game after a Dorian Finney-Smith three-pointer and then a Luka Doncic layup to tie the game at 89 late in the fourth quarter. The Houston Rockets going on a 7-0 run to put the game away, and the Dallas Mavericks fall in a trap game against the Houston Rockets after they beat the Utah Jazz with the best record in the NBA. They follow it up with a poor performance as they get ready to take on the Milwaukee Bucks at home in a primetime game on ESPN. The Dallas Mavericks, though, in this game saw themselves really not be able to capitalize on a game that they really need to have, especially given the fact that the Portland Trail Blazers had lost on Tuesday, and they had an opportunity to make up further ground in the Western Conference, and they were not able to do so. What was really curious about this game, especially as you got into the fourth quarter, Kristaps Porzingis was nowhere to be found. Kristaps Porzingis in the fourth quarter had just as many points as I did tonight, 0. In fact, he didn't take a single shot or a single free throw attempt in the fourth quarter. He was asked after the game why he was not more involved in the offense in the fourth quarter. Listen to his response, and you be the judge on how he felt after this game.
Hey, KP, why do you think you weren't able to get involved offensively in the fourth quarter?
Good question. It's just the plays we were running. Happened before also.
So Kristaps Porzingis responding with, that's a good question. It's just the plays that they were running. To not get involved in the fourth quarter alone, where, again, he had as many points as I did. 0 in the fourth quarter, which was disappointing because throughout this game, Kristaps Porzingis was playing extremely well, especially when you look at the third quarter that he had in this game. 10 points in the third quarter on 4 of 7 from the field, hit a 3-point shot, really helped the Mavericks stay in it, as it seemed like the Rockets wanted this game more than the Dallas Mavericks did. We talked about how the maturity of this team was starting to grow. This is a growing and a learning moment for the Dallas Mavericks when you think about where they are as far as how they've been playing over the last 26 games, where they were 19-7 in their previous 26 games. More importantly, a team that seemed like it was getting better on the defensive end. And don't get me wrong, both teams in this basketball game did not shoot the ball well at all. When you start thinking about what the Dallas Mavericks did, they go 10 of 39, that is, from the three-point line. That is a mere 26% from the field. The Houston Rockets shot overall 43% in this basketball game. So it wasn't like either one of these teams were lighting it on fire, but you could tell that this Mavericks team did not want it as badly as the Houston Rockets. Kelly Olynyk in this game had a season-high 18 rebounds against the Dallas Mavericks. He was all over the place. Christian Wood had 12 points in the third quarter alone. John Wall, coming back from an injury, was on the attack all night long. He scored 31 points, was hitting the three ball, going 40% from downtown, which is not something that John Wall is accustomed to doing. Here's what Tim Hardaway had to say after the game about whether or not there was some offensive lack of flow that I asked him about, and then also his answer about how the Mavericks seemed to not got outworked by the Houston Rockets. Here's what Tim Hardaway had to say. Tim, was there anything in particular tonight that contributed to the poor shooting night as far as lack of rhythm on offense tonight?
No. That's about it.
Okay, Callie.
Hey, Tim. Once you guys tied it up at 89 there with about 2 minutes left, what kind of unraveled for you? What was Houston doing that made it tough to keep that momentum going?
It just outworked us from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, point blank.
Eddie?
Tim, I just kind of along the same lines. Does this qualify into the category of one of those games that you're going to have to win back somewhere along the way?
I mean, I don't know, but I don't know if people pay attention. But Portland lost yesterday, and we needed this win. So yes, it does put us back a little bit. So we got to move forward. We know we got a game tomorrow, and we just got to make sure we take care of business from here on out.
So Tim Hardaway not appreciating the effort, and more importantly, it seemed like a Mavericks team fell flat coming into a game where they needed to have it. And what was curious about this game also, especially as we go back to the fourth quarter, the Houston Rockets got into the penalty with 7 minutes and 48 seconds left. They were in the penalty, which meant that the Dallas Mavericks had the opportunity to shoot free throws for the rest of the quarter. They really did not drive the ball to the basket and attack the paint as the way that they should have, given the foul trouble that the Houston Rockets were in and how early they got into the penalty. You would have thought that the Dallas Mavericks would have attacked the rim much more late in that fourth quarter, but they did not do so. And to the tune of a 7-0 run, allowed the Houston Rockets to not only take over and win the basketball game, but they seemed like they much more were the aggressors. Kevin Porter Jr. had some crucial moments in this game, getting a block, getting a rebound, and then getting a dunk to contribute to that 7-0 run. John Wall had 5 points, 5 of those 7 points in that run also. He seemed to turn it up when it mattered most for the Houston Rockets. And ultimately, this is a game that's disappointing, especially when you think about how Luka Doncic played in this game. In this game, going 9 of 26 from the field. Yes, he did have 23 points, but was a -7 in terms of plus-minus. Don't worry, Kristaps Porzingis wasn't any better in terms of his plus-minus. He was -19 despite going 10 of 19 from the field and 2 of 4 from the three-point line. But this game, you did not get the contributions that you had been accustomed to seeing from guys, especially in Josh Richardson, who in this game alone went 0 of 9 from the field, just 1 of 2 from the free throw line. He was a -10 with only 1 point in this game. So you got no help from a guy in Josh Richardson who had been playing much better these days. Yes, you saw Jalen Brunson and Tim Hardaway contribute with 18 and 14 points in this game. Jalen Brunson doing his thing, 5 of 7 from the field with those 14 points. He was a +3 in the plus-minus category. But when you get the poor shooting performance from Luka Doncic, when you get nothing, literally nothing from Josh Richardson, you're not going to win a lot of games, especially when you shoot 25% from the three-point line. Here is Luka Doncic talking about the effort in the game against the Houston Rockets, and, sometimes you just play a bad game. Here's what Luka had to say.
Luka, why do you think it was such a grind for you guys offensively tonight, and why do you think that KP wasn't able to get involved there in the fourth quarter?
I mean, anybody can play a bad game, right? So we play a horrible game as a team. We just got to flush it out and continue to play.
Callie?
Luka, after you tied it up at 89 there with about 2 minutes left, what unraveled? What were you guys not able to take advantage of with that momentum?
I mean, I would say the shot didn't go in. Maybe I should have dropped the ball on that step back. My threes weren't falling today, so maybe I should have dropped it, and maybe that will make something different.
So Luka Doncic saying, hey, we all play a bad game every now and then, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Didn't get off to a good start where we know that the Dallas Mavericks, when they have a lead after the first quarter, are 19-0 this season. This game, obviously, they were down 24-23 at the end of one, and then allowed the Houston Rockets to score 23 points, getting outscored 23-19. So it wasn't like the Rockets were lighting the world on fire from the field. Dallas was doing a pretty good job defensively, but this game seemed to be physical. It seemed to have a disposition where the Mavericks just came out flat and were not able to match the intensity of a Houston Rocket basketball team that seemed to want it more than they did. And that's the most concerning part about a game like this. In a tight Western Conference where you need to have wins like this not come back to haunt you. This was a game that was made up from back in mid-February due to the winter storms. So this game was part of a reason why it was a back-to-back going into tomorrow's game against the Milwaukee Bucks because of the makeup game from mid-February. You have to come out and win games like this. We've seen at times this season this Mavericks team play down to their opponents, play down to their competition. This was another perfect example of that. A trap game where you beat the best team in the NBA while you're looking forward to playing against the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis, but more importantly, a game that you should have won given the level of competition and who was getting ran out there for the Houston Rockets. I know that these Rockets have a lot of pride. John Wall has a lot of pride coming off of an injury, but at the same time, a team that was still 2-27 in their last 29 basketball games, a negative 13 net rating for the Houston Rockets. Basically, no excuse in this game where you had your top two stars in Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, and you should have won this basketball game to give yourself an opportunity, one, to give your guys rest, and more importantly, to give yourself an opportunity to have some confidence going against Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks going back to your place. Here is Kristaps Porzingis also giving an injury update on his sprained right wrist, where he heard it back in January about how he's feeling going forward and whether or not he will need to have it addressed during this offseason. Here is more on Kristaps Porzingis and what he had to say about his sprained right wrist.
Were you told by the doctors anything about the wrist that that allowed you to play tonight? That it's just one of those things you're going to basically have to deal with the rest of the season. That you can't hurt it anymore? Can you give us a kind of an update on that?
It felt good. It feels good now. I think that's something I will deal with at the end of the season, in the off season. So for now, I'll just try to go as much as I can, and hopefully it holds up.
So it sounds like Kristaps Porzingis is going to have some kind of potential procedure, something to deal with this sprained right wrist once the season is over with. He's going to continue to manage the pain as best as he can so he can get out onto the floor and play each and every night, because they're going to need him down the stretch. A team in the Mavericks that is still looking up at the Portland Trail Blazers, at the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference standings, and to drop a game like this where you needed to have it, especially when you got some winning plays from guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, especially late in the game where you were trying to claw yourself back into the game and unable to sustain it, especially in clutch time, that's disappointing. But at the same time, they have an opportunity to bounce back immediately as they take on Giannis, Drew Holiday, the new max guy for the Milwaukee Bucks, and more importantly, a game against the kind of competition where they should be up for it. We'll see if Kristaps Porzingis plays in the back-to-back, because we know how the Mavericks have been handling Kristaps Porzingis in terms of his injury recovery, a.k.a. load management, when it comes to Porzingis. So it'll remain to be seen if he plays against the Milwaukee Bucks. But a game that the Mavericks had to have, they drop 102-93 on the road, as they get outscored in 3 out of the 4 quarters. More importantly, that decisive third quarter where Christian Wood really turned up the heat for the Rockets, and then Kelly Olynyk was all over the place, Kevin Porter Jr. the same, and the Mavericks get outlasted by the Rockets 102-93 in a game that they had to have, an inexcusable loss on the road to an inferior basketball team. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications so that you can know when these videos drop. I will be in the arena for the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Dallas Mavericks. So keep it right here on Kevin Gray Sports for all things Mavericks here, right here on YouTube. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.